Hey everyone, Captain here. Coming to you for the first time in quite a long time. Making these videos is something I always intend to do, mean to do, but man, there's only so many hours in the day. But tonight seemed like an extra good night just because George is popping off in Kevin's comments. Sort of like he wishes he could pop through a lady's underwear. But yeah, George is feeling it this evening. Trying to make people feel something. I shouldn't even say this evening. It's actually been going on all day, since early this morning. So it's interesting to think, according to Angela, when something like this happens, it has to do with a lack of ladies in George's life. So maybe whatever woman he was putting money on her commissary card, or whatever you call it, for people that are locked up in the county jail. Maybe she was released and went into hiding. Sort of like Sue did back in the day. Got a few things I want to talk about. You probably have a good idea of what the main gist of this video is, but since it's been so long, there's numerous things. But I feel like maybe we should start with this. That's right. The book is still down. It's been months since he said it would go back up, and we all know how a Yaridian promise pans out. The Bank of New York Mellon knows. I'm sure Kevin knows anytime he's let George borrow money. Saunders, I don't think, ever got paid back for his generosity. And Amazon sure as hell didn't see the book go back up. And one of the big reasons is going to be because the important people don't want it to go back up. And those important people are Marty, Sean, Will, and Mark. If they say no, you can put your money, you can bank on the result being no. And that's why the book isn't back up. And it probably will never be back up. This is something that he thought would put him back in the, what does he call it, the limelight or whatever. But yeah, he thought that this would be his windfall of dead presidents. He fell all right. But yeah, the book is still down. Still got only, what, like 2 stars? I'd call this a major goon victory. One that he swore would never happen, that the book would never fall in their hands, that it just couldn't, wouldn't, and would never happen. But sure enough, like everything else, boom. The right person was gotten to, that book was handed on over, and now it's down. Moving on, I'd like to send a quick shout out to Eugene the Magnificent and Hair and Makeup by Meth. Been enjoying the podcast. It seems like George has been enjoying it too, because he's been relentlessly emailing you guys. I'm sure he can spot a quality production, because his isn't one, and he's probably taking notes with his pudgy, dirt-encrusted fingers. Furiously scribbling away with one hand, rubbing his dong with the other. Especially to Meth's voice, since it seems like he really enjoys that one. He likes to pretend like he doesn't, but yeah, it's obvious that he's really, really digging on that. I thought it was kind of fascinating on the most recent video that, we've talked about this before, but just, I want to go back to it. He was so enamored with Dirt Woman. It was so obvious there was all kinds of sexual tension going on between the two of them. He kept rubbing that stick with the hand on the end of it. He was holding it like where his crotch was. Like he could barely contain himself. You know that as soon as he got home, he was just furiously pounding on his 2-inch dong. But yeah, that was a nice trip down memory lane, and they really landed a quality guest in Will Markland. Man, I just enjoy so much when there's a new episode of the True Narrative podcast, and so getting to hear Will as a guest on another show, super fun. But I'd like to comment really quickly on George dirtying Kevin's comments. The guy just throws his weight around, thinks that he can call the shots on Kevin's page. Why do you think Kevin quit your show? Because you can't handle taking the good and the bad of fame. The good is people like you and they do things for you, and the bad is, yeah, sometimes people critique or comment or say things you don't like, but that's the price you pay for being in the public eye. It doesn't come just one way. He wants it one way, but it's the other, and that's plain. And so George comes into Kevin's comments begging Kevin to take him down. This is a guy that got so angry with me because I told it like it was. He does not like the truth, but what I did was I said George can't do anything on his own. He's always got to try and drag someone else in to fight his battles for him, and here again, there he is telling Kevin to take the comments down, begging him, on his knees, beseeching Kevin to take the comments down, because he can't handle that some people mention him. Why shouldn't people mention him on Kevin's page when he did a show with Kevin for almost 24 years? Like it or not, the two of them are intertwined to a certain set degree. So naturally, people are going to have comments about George, but he wants to browbeat Kevin and beg Kevin, threaten Kevin, do anything he can to get the, hurtful comments taken down, because poor baby George can't take it. Oh, they're so hurtful and so mean. And that's kind of why I did what I did, and everyone heard it on those phone calls, was I mocked George for his being a beggar. Begging Kevin, oh please Kevin, please help me. And there he was again doing it in the comments. But it made him so angry that I mocked him for begging Saunders and begging Kevin and begging Angela. But we've all heard the evidence. We heard the voicemails where he begged Angela. We've heard the the calls with Saunders where he begged Saunders, and he's just a beggar. He is a flat out beggar, and he got mad at me for pointing that out, and that's why I beat him. No one knew back when it was happening why I was making all the videos. There was a brief period of time where I posted a lot of videos. And yeah, I admit they were dumb, but I knew they would cut him to the quick. They would shake him to his pink core. And it was all done because I knew I had heard the calls in advance, and I knew he had a video prepared about me. He mentions it in the calls that he has a video prepared about me. And I had a bet with another goon that I could intimidate him and keep him from posting that video. And I gotta say, just as many other goons have, I controlled him. I kept him from posting that video. And I knew if I kept the pressure up, that he would be far too intimidated to want to tangle with me, and that video stayed down. I won. I beat him. I knew that if I posted enough and made enough content and stayed in his face, he would back down, just like he did at the library with Saunders. That was all my plan. It went exactly like I thought it would, and I won that bet. We had a lot of good laughs over it, but I knew that if I showed him I wasn't afraid, that I got in his face, showed him who was boss, he'd have nothing. And he didn't. He stayed quiet, other than complaining about me in the calls to Saunders, where he claimed that I was intimidated. But that's the thing. You give him enough time, and the best he can do is come up with yet another goofy name. A goofy name that'll lead him down a rabbit hole that leads nowhere. I mean, we've heard Timothy K. Reddy. We've heard Bill Bellum. We've heard William Royster. That's all he's got are these fake names that he's desperately trying to spin and turn and hope that they're going to lead somewhere, but they always lead him nowhere. Nowhere but empty promises, empty threats. He swore up and down that if he lost the case, he would appeal. Did he appeal? No. There is no fight in him. And I proved that because I got in his face. I showed him who was boss. I pointed out that he was a beggar. And I won. Boom. That simple. Anyhow, that's all I got. I'm going to sign off for now. But I'll try and be more regular in my postings in the future. This is the Captain, signing off.